www.movementunes.com, the #1 site for positive music downloading.
What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then? To you. What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then? True. Born captive in this land of dairy and honey, where they get drunk off religion and think time is money. Africans always been here, set up for annihilation. Demand you ought to be scared. I track time like the Incas and Mayans, trying to reenact the time when the earth was still thriving. Didn't need cleansing, man and women remembering, respect nature, no compromising for the paper. Your calendar wrong, man, no wonder you late. Change the 200, it's 6248. No wonder you can't relate, you need a paradigm shift. Crackers buying time cause they wanna exist. Forever I'll resist these times of Babylon. Strengthen the youth so Tubman City lives on to the next dimension. Time was never contingent on how we track it or how we choose to spend it.
Yeah, what happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then? To you. What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then? The truth. Time is our currency, to be spent, traded, and accumulated. Hated in the AM en route to the plantation, counting down to the next vacation as the clock is punched. Move slow on Fridays at quick at lunch. That's relativity. Time can play both the warden and the prisoner. Keeper of the rhythm stirred in the gumbo of this rough free flow. Yet trapped in the bars of the beats, oh we know how to bend it, transcend it and expand its relevance. Periodically table its elements and sentence it to forever battle the pyramids. Deja vu it like Denzel did, invoke Jehudi and Osar to condescend it, then witness them split it up like two co-defendants. Black time bandits, overstand it.
What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then?
To you.
What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then?
The truth.
It's like a shotgun straight to the head. Awaken your mind and resurrect the ungrateful dead. Escape the dread of heading to a spiritual grave. Lyrically blazed, uplift and spiritually saved. Man from self like a miracle came from the heavens above with wisdom, just to hear him complain. Talking about time is money. Yet the time spent on chasing it by the mind is funny. Nothing really to laugh at. The way we blast cats for cash, trading the true light for the lime like dummies. See, time will concede to enemies to relieve you, put you out your source of misery and release you into the old earth that conceived you. Pollute the air that you breathe with evil. I don't have to remind time is running out, but I ain't say to resort to life behind crime and gunning out. Truth will resurrect these righteous seeds for light to bleed. New dawn every time the sun is out.
What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then? To you. What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then? Time running constant, nothing wrong with tracking it by sundial or flooding of the Nile. The concept of time is deeply rooted in our hearts and DNA, still dormant today. I wonder when the time will come for revelation. Time is now for spiritual elevation. You got time on your cell phone, time on your wrist, time to make beats, time to write hits, time to go to work, time to go to school. At times you keep your cool, sometimes you act a fool. No time like now to reinforce, take action, reclaim hours in a timely fashion. Time's mathematics, that's how we manage to track it. Sound barrier, that's how we manage to crack it. Poem hack it, and that's a perfect time marker. Way before Europe when all earthlings are darker. when everything in balance, or should I say my yacht? In 2012, you think time will stop?
What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then?
To you.
What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then?
The truth.
6248, another drought. Just a few years left and the clock is running out. Running about all around the clock, like the big and the little hand. Ayo, time is like the middleman of everything between the start and the end of a more peaceful time and space and place. Life and death awaits, better guard your gates. Heaven is in the mind, why we starve for grace? Minority labor, but the harvest great. From inside the mind, the aura, hard to break. Soul is granted, never take my soul for granted. And that's word to everything that controls this planet. Time to reap what you sown and planted with interest. Fuck politics, time for overstanding. That's word to the double edge, grazing my tongue. That time will burn out, just like the rays of the sun.
Time, never sublime. For your cellar, you're rented by the dime, but they give it to you free after 9. Daylight savings lines. 4 centuries stolen, the ultimate crime. The sun don't rise or set, y'all, they lying. I said the sun don't rise or set. The sun does not rise or set, they are lying. The sun is right where it's been all the damn time. And we try to clock it with seasons and signs, giving it reasons and rhymes. Same thing with time. The only thing actually moving is our minds. Through our thoughts we pass time. Give me a second, okay. Wait a minute, I got you. Riddle me this. If I lapped you like the long hand at 2:30, right? And if recorded time was actually true, would we still need to fall back an hour or spring forward at 2? Good point. So what year is it exactly? What year is it to you? Ask the Chinaman, ask the Hindu, ask the Jew. You can bet to one of them 3 it ain't millennium number 2. Sure enough. And ain't one of them aforementioned even half as old as you, African. Not half. That's a fraction, represented with a 1 over a 2. The 1 is you.
What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then to you? What happens to time when time's up? Time tells all things traveling, unraveling from atoms to galaxies, all things are gathering. When the chips all fall down, what's gonna matter then? The truth.
www.movementunes.com, the #1 site for positive music downloading.